The 2024-25 season showed some great improvement for the St. Louis Blues. They improved to, what was it, 96 points? Yeah, and then they made the playoffs as the second wild card out of the West. So a great season and a great success for the St. Louis Blues this year. So today we're going to be talking about some player awards. Which players were key cogs of the Blues this season, central to their success? Who was the team MVP? Who were the best defensemen, the best forwards, the best rookie? And what other awards do these players deserve? We're going to talk about all that and more today on Note News. Welcome into another episode of Note News. It's John and Alec with you as always. We're a St. Louis Blues podcast. We go live twice a week. We're here in the off season. It's time to talk off season content, and we'll continue to provide that off season content all summer long. So if you want to check out like our intro to the offseason stuff, we have a couple episodes out already talking about should the Blues trade any players on their roster already, should they extend anyone, and then who out there should they target via free agency or trade. We started to talk about that already, so go check those out if you haven't. And we're here today to talk player awards. So if you want to continue to follow along with us throughout the offseason and into next season, then be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's the best way to help us out. Like this video as well. If you're listening on audio, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can follow, rate, review. It really does help. And then you can follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Note News Pod. So be sure to follow along with us on all those platforms. And thanks to everyone that has done that already. But as I said, we're talking player awards. Alec, who was your favorite player this season?
26.
Yeah.
Definitely the Thunder from Down Under. I mean, anytime I get to watch a 5'9" hockey player, I am kind of smitten from the start.
Nice. Yeah. I'll give you one guess as to who is my favorite.
Scott Perunovich.
Close.
It was Corey Schooneman, wasn't it?
Yep. No, if anyone has been watching Note News for any time at all, I'm sure every single episode has featured some Philip Broberg discourse, but I love that guy. My new favorite Blue. So yeah, I would say he's my favorite. But yeah, elsewhere in the hockey world, it's Stanley Cup playoffs time. It's conference finals right now. In the West, we got
Crazy
Dallas,
game
Edmonton.
last night.
Yeah, crazy game last night. Dallas came back, beat Edmonton. And then in the East, it's Carolina, Florida. Who's your finals matchup? I think I've said mine already is Carolina, Dallas. But who do you got? Yours is probably.
I got a repeat of last year.
I was gonna say you're the exact opposite. Yeah, I
Not
think
the
like
exact opposite. Oh wait, yeah, it is the exact
of mine.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
I think any permutation of these four would make for a pretty fun final. Cool. Well, we will continue to see how it plays out. We're here to talk player awards today. And so if anyone has been listening or watching Note News from the very beginning, you might remember one of our very early episodes was like a player awards episode. This is like our first time doing like a repeat sort of like idea, a repeat theme, I guess. If you don't count like the tiers, like the tiers episode, but like we've completed like a full cycle. It's kind of crazy. So the way that we'll do this is we're going to start out with who on the Blues would win like NHL awards and trophies. So, who was the Hart or the MVP for the Blues? Who was the Norris or the best defenseman for the Blues? So it's just, we're not saying that we think Jordan Binnington can win the Vezina Trophy. It's not going to happen this year, but we're saying who on the Blues like wins that trophy. So that's sort of what we'll start out with, and then we'll talk some more like creative and fun awards later on. Alec, where do you want to start the discussion? Do you want to get like the obvious ones out of the way first? I mean, like best goalie
Sure,
is
I guess.
obviously like the Vezina Trophy award. It's got to be Benner.
Yeah, I agree.
Great year from Jordan Binnington. Um, yeah, saw him in the playoffs again. Looked great. So I don't think I think like last year we could have said Joel Hofer had a case, or at least I mean it was still obviously Benner, but like Hofer
Mhm.
was kind of right there with him, like statistically speaking, not quantity wise or workload wise, but like Hofer had a good year. But this year, I think it's a little more obvious. Um, okay, we can do like Jack Adams Award, which is best coach. And for the second straight season, the Blues have two candidates for this award. Um, but I think this is another obvious one. Monty, Jim Montgomery,
Yeah, he's got my vote.
took over and turned the season around for the Blues. Locked him up to a 5-year deal. So I'm I'm so excited for the rest of his contract. He's going to be so awesome. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's move on to some more interesting ones. Where do you want to get the MVP out of the way, or maybe work our way up to it?
I kind of feel like work our way up to it.
Sure.
But it does also other conversations could be dictated by it. So I don't know, I could go either way.
I like the idea of working up to it. Let's
Okay.
let's go ahead and do that. So why don't we start with rookie best? Rookie of the year, or the Calder Trophy as it's called for the NHL Rookie of the Year. I feel like this one's pretty obvious. So the rookies this year: Dalibor Dvorsky, Jimmy Snuggerud, and Zachary Bolduc. It's got to be Bolduc, right?
Yeah. Definitely is Bolduc. I mean, Snuggerud, respect to the guy, but he played 7 games.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I mean,
do you
honorary mention, I think Tyler Tucker would be my second choice,
is he a
but
rookie technically?
I think so.
Yeah, you're probably right. Last year, the debate was sort of between Matthew Kessel and Bolduc, and we gave it to Kessel. And it's kind of, I don't know,
Yeah,
unfortunate
he might
that
not
he
have been a
sort of
rookie.
fell off.
I might be
Uh,
wrong about that.
gotcha.
But yeah,
Do you want to, add any detail to the season that we just saw from Zach Bolduc?
I think, well, not I think Bolduc had a phenomenal season, and I think really Blues fans are very much aware of it. I think the rest of the NHL maybe isn't ready for the player that Zach Bolduc is going to become, because not just among like Blues young forwards, among all NHL rookies, he was one of the best players in the
Hmm.
league by in his age bracket by the end of the season. He started off kind of slow until Monty took over and really unlocked him as that playoff sniper. But I think beyond that, it just gave him the confidence to get a lot of the other elements of his game to blossom. And for that reason, I think Bolduc is going to take a lot of people by surprise next season and into the future.
Yeah, established himself on the third line. About midway through the season, we were talking on here that we were a little bit frustrated with sort of the lack of playing time that he was getting, but I think he earned his way to more playing time, and the Blues were a better team for it. Great shot, great on the power play. Um, I'm so
Wicked
excited to,
shot.
yeah, I'm so excited to see. He's only 21 years old, and I'm really excited to see him in a few years down the line when he is just like starting to enter his prime. Because if 21 years old and he put up 19 goals in 72 games, like future could be bright for Zach Bolduc. I'm excited to see eventually if he can either work his way up or if the Blues can add to the roster that they have and maybe put him on a line with more of a playmaker, like a playmaking center, someone a little bit more creative than Oscar Sundquist. I think that could unlock a new level to Zach Bolduc. So yeah, I think it's an obvious choice for him. And next year, probably going to be Snug, right? We'll
It would
see.
be hard not to, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just, I and the rest of the entire planet is so high on Snuggerud. I think he could be the third best skater next year.
yeah.
Like, maybe that's a little bit ambitious. That is a little bit ambitious for me, but like I'm not exactly uh picking Snuggerud as a sleeper, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Also,
Okay,
I will say I just want to apologize. My voice is a little bit weird today. I'm kind of under the weather, so apologies, audio listeners and everyone.
everyone, boo this man. Um,
Booze in
okay,
the
what do you?
chat.
Where do you want to take it next? What award do you want to give out?
I'm intrigued. I'm kind of intrigued. I want to hear your thoughts on the Ted Lindsay. So the Ted Lindsay is sort of a consolation prize sometimes for the Heart, or at least like a who around the league deserves more respect. And so our version of that is, not necessarily who is the second best on the team, but who is, you could think of this as biggest surprise, but I think of this as more like who is the most outstanding this year? Like who do you think deserves some love that maybe isn't the team MVP?
Hmm.
Oh, also, are we rules for us? Are we including a no repeat player clause? Because I think we should.
You think we should? We can
I
we
think
can
we should.
try that. Yeah. Um,
Because
in that
there's a
case,
certain guy who might win a couple of these for a certain co-host on the left side of the screen.
I don't know what I don't. I'm not sure to what you are referring. Um, this is a great question. So who on the Blues would win the Ted Lindsay Award? Actually, okay. I think I know my pick, and not because not because of any fault of his own, but just because I think he might come in second for like a lot of these. I'm gonna say Jordan Kyrou. Like
Yeah,
I'm not sure that he's really the MVP, which we'll get to soon. Um, I mean, he obviously has a case leading the team in goals, 36. He had 34 assists, so 70 points again, um, and made a lot of improvements to his game defensively. We're seeing him develop into a well-rounded player really over the past couple seasons. I think that was part of the conversation this time last year was Kyrou becoming a more like multifaceted kind of guy, and he continued to take those strides this year. So for that reason, and also just continuing um, his 30 plus goal scoring, um, yeah, I'm gonna say Kyrie for me. What do you think?
yeah. This is maybe a little bit of a spoiler for my excuse me, for my um MVP pick, but I agree. I think it is Kairu. I had said previously that Kairu could be considered the best skater on the team this year. And as
Hmm.
bad as I want that to be the case, I think there's another guy who's pretty good at hockey. But Kairu, I kind of wanted to throw this award in just to talk about Jordan Kairu because the year he had, he's getting his flowers right now. I think as the trade talks have heated up, I think there's a lot more people coming to his defense now, which is really great to see. We're very much both on that side, but I don't know that like the year he had is getting enough love because truly Kyrie was an outstanding player for the Blues this year and isn't even in the prime of his career yet. Like he's going to become such a star for this team. I mean, he is a star, but he could really become a superstar by next season. But even then, like 36 goals, Iron Man led the team in plus minus with a ridiculous mark defensively. That's the biggest thing for me is that he turned his defense around from Jake Gensel bad to like maybe not Sam Reinhart good, but like
Pretty
I don't
good.
know, Mitch
I mean, he
Marner
was up
good.
there. Yeah.
Like yeah, like really really good defensively this year. Definitely did benefit playing with Holloway. I think that's one thing you can talk about with him is how different he looked with and without Holloway, but I still think he was a plus player overall and like a plus player when he played with Holloway on the ice. That's a valuable player to have. But I mean, yeah, the defense Kyrie brought was just so underrated that is not getting talked about enough. He was one of the best defensive forwards this year. Won't be getting my Selke love, but would definitely be a candidate for me for that award too. And the way that he could turn that into offense and with just his speed and his creativity with the puck on his stick, like on a breakaway, is truly rare traits to have. So love me some Kyrou. To me, this is the definition of the Ted Lindsay is the Jordan Kyrou award.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, we just talked forward. Why don't we take it? Let's just go ahead and talk defenseman here. So the Norris, which is awarded to, I think it's like the spirit of it, or I guess the rules for it is like best all around defenseman. So both sides of the puck, and I think there are three
Yes.
serious contenders here for me. Anyways, probably like objectively speaking, it's more like two. Um, but even more objectively speaking, it's just one, and it's Philip Broberg. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I think the three in this conversation are Philip Broberg, Cam Fowler, and Colton Parayko. So in terms of like points and sort of scoring, you saw Cam Fowler with 9 goals and 27 assists, so 36 points. Colton Parayko right there with him, 36 points, but his came more balanced, so 16 goals, 20 assists. And then Philip Broberg had 8 goals and 21 assists. I mean, for what it's worth, Justin Falk had 32 points, 4 goals, 28 assists. Broberg only had 29 points. But really, I think this is probably between Parayko and Fowler. Um, but I'm leaning I'm leaning Parayko. I think he had a career year, and I think as good as Cam Fowler, like as important as he was for the team, I just think Colton Parayko, like as big an impact as Fowler had coming over from Anaheim and stabilizing the blue line, I think what Colton Parayko did this year just deserves. I mean, deserves some recognition here. It was his career high for goals, career high for career high for points as well. So, and that was with like being injured for a while. So we would have seen him. Um, yeah, exactly, Matt in the chat. Wish he didn't miss so many games. Yeah, right there with you. So for those reasons, I think I lean Parayko here, and that's objectively speaking because in my heart, I think you know that this is already going to Philip Broberg. But what do you think?
Yeah, to me, Parayko's the pick. Parayko was always the pick. There was never a doubt that Parayko was the pick. He's the man. This team does not go with Colton Parayko or without Colton Parayko. I say that, and they did rally as soon as he missed time at the trade deadline, of course. But no, Parayko, like contextually, I mean, had more points or had more goals than Cam Fowler, despite and actually the same amount of points if I'm reading this correctly.
Mm-hmm.
In you know, I guess technically more games, but Parayko only played 64 games and was still eighth on the team in goals. He was pacing, if he played the full season, he was pacing for 20 or 21 goals. That would have put him around Booch and Thomas as potentially the third highest goal scorer on the team, between the third and fifth highest goal scorer on the team. So that's the kind of year Parayko is having, on top of having Colton Parayko defense, which is just
Mm-hmm.
excellent. I think his playmaking and his passing has seen a bit of a hit. I think his transition IQ isn't quite adapted, but is still good. Is just not like excellent like it used to be. But defensively, with his stick, with his body, he'll be blocking shots, disrupting passing lanes until he retires from the league. He's just so smart defensively, and yeah, scored the eighth most goals on the team as a like 6'6" defenseman, and could have had the third most. So Parayko is my Norris pick, and it's not close.
Yeah, there was a point during the season when he was lighting it up that like he was getting some mentions in the Norris conversation, and it wasn't like he can win this award or anything like that, but it was like he could get some votes, some down ballot votes for the actual Norris Award for the league. Like the his season was reaching that point, like um, probably around before he got injured, I guess. But like I
Hmm.
think that alone shows you like he really was the best defenseman for the Blues this year, um, for so many reasons. Okay, do you want to take it to the Selke next?
Sure.
Okay, so the Selke Award is given to in the NHL is given to a forward, um, like a great two-way forward. So a forward who's great offensively and defensively. Um, and I want to hear who you think it should go to.
So I'll give out the nominees, I guess,
Yeah,
first.
the finalists.
Your nominees for, well, there's gonna be more than three, because there's so
Okay.
many. I think that all of these players have a case, is at least what I'll say.
Hmm.
Nathan Walker, part of that defensive just the whole WTF line. Nathan Walker, Alexei Toropchenko, Radek Faksa were three of the best defensive players on the team this season.
Question: Are they enrolled as a group
No,
to win the award?
no, silly question, silly John. Um, Walker, Toropchenko are all eligible and would be good picks for this award. I think Matthew Joseph is a defensive forward who would be good for this award. Pavel Buchnevich has always been a defensive guy. I think had a great year defensively. Um, had a good year defensively. I would say, okay. Um,
No,
I would
go on.
say Holloway is a guy who really benefited from his defensive play and was excellent, excellent defensively. Jordan Kyrou, the aforementioned, and then depth
Mhm.
center. I think Oscar Sundquist probably got enough games to be another defensive player. You could throw out a Texier or a Shen, but to me, I think Shen left a little bit to be desired, and
Mhm.
Tex didn't play enough. But there were a ton of good defensive forwards on this roster. There are so there. This is such a fun. This is, I think, the most fun discussion.
Yeah. Did you mention Robert Thomas in there at all?
No, I didn't.
I don't know
I
that you
forgot
did.
Robert Thomas. Yeah, I
The
mean,
guy who actually got Selkie votes last year.
this is such a fun discussion. Um, so that those are thoughts. I think we can take our time with this one a little bit more. So I want to hear just like your initial thoughts. Don't no,
Yeah.
excuse me. Don't necessarily like give a pick, but like
Okay.
I don't know. Who do you want to talk about and why?
We can start with that fourth line because you're right. They were great defensively. That was like where they shined all year or shone all year, was on the defensive side. But then also, I mean, there are a lot of adjectives that we use to describe that WTF fourth line. I mean, gritty, tough, whatever else you want to say. Um, Another one is
WTF.
what?
That's an adjective I would use to describe them. WTF.
Yeah, sure. Another one is consistent. Like that was a big storyline. They were probably the most consistent line for the Blues all season. So I think you're right. They definitely deserve a mention in this conversation. Um, Alexei Toropchenko, I think especially had a good year defensively. So really liked that from him. That being said, I don't know that they like deserve it over some of these other guys. Um, but I mean that's just because some other guys had fantastic years defensively. But
Man,
um, great fourth
why
line,
like
great fourth line.
Texas numbers are so good under the hood.
They really are.
Crazy.
He's an enigma.
Crazy.
Um, Next, I
Oh,
think
I didn't mention Bolduc either,
yeah,
but he's definitely on the list.
sure, yeah. I think the whole bottom six. I mean, yeah. I think Bolduc is definitely on
Basically.
the list for sure. Yeah, he had a great year defensively. Just sort of like working our way up the lines. Uh, Buchnevich, I actually think had a better year offensively than he did defensively. I didn't love his defense this year. Um, I mean, he did play difficult minutes, but he was pretty bad at 5-on-5 and on the penalty kill. I don't know. Didn't really block a lot or anything like that. That you sort of need to any of the things that you really need to do to um, get those defensive numbers up. I just didn't really see it from him this year, and that's part of why I'm so I don't know confused by him. And it's just sort of tough that he had the year he did because I think if we were seeing typical Buchnevich, like they could still be playing hockey potentially. But anyways, I don't know if he's my pick for that reason. Um, do you have any? I can keep working up the list
I'll give
unless
a
you have
few.
any more thoughts. Yeah.
Um, I'll just give some stats I'm looking at because, to be honest, I thought I had decided, and I might have decided, but I'm still definitely mulling it over. I'll give some stats. The ever-present Corsi that we talk about,
Yeah.
which is shots, blocks, and misses. I'm looking at Corsi against, so how many shots you allow, how many shots you block, and then how many shots to miss the net. The best forwards who played more than half the games, I guess technically Brandon Saad is on there, but that doesn't really count. Number one on the list with 60 games played is Matthew Joseph.
Hmm.
So 60 games played is not a low amount, and he's at 591, which is a huge jump to the next guy, Oscar Sundquist, with 67 games played, is at 705 Corsi chances allowed. So Matthew Joseph is kind of a statistical outlier um, on the just Corsi chances against.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, all in a clump together, you've got Sonny, Bolduc, Foxa, Walker, and Torpo are all between 850 and 700. Next closest guys are Holloway and Thomas, but they're in the thousands, so that's a pretty significant jump too. So shout out Matthew Joseph. If you just look at blocks, like just raw blocks, Nathan Walker is your leader at among forwards at
Hmm.
61. Behind him is Jake Neighbors, we didn't mention. Braden Shen, like I said. And then you've got, and these are all basically the same. Walker's got 61. And then the rest are between 50 and 56. You got Foxa, Holloway, Sonny, Torpo, Shen, and Neighbors.
Hmm.
And then one more that I'm looking at personally um, for defense for the Selkie here is actually giveaways. I'm really interested
Yeah.
and takeaways.
Yeah.
And so some guys who did not give the puck away, or I'll start actually guys who gave the puck away the most. Your team leader in giveaways. Do you know who this is? Because I've already told you.
I don't.
It's not among forwards. I just meant on the team.
Oh.
It
Oh, you have told me. I
it's
don't.
Philip Broberg.
La 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 la. Yeah. No.
But anyways, that's just one stat. But your team leader among forwards and giveaways is Robert Thomas with
Hmm.
99. It's probably just a minutes thing, but still, that is pretty high. Then it's Kyrou, then it's Booch, then it's Holloway. Some of your best giveaway on the other end, like the best at not giving the puck away, who played more games, were Torpchenko, Matthew Joseph again, let's see, defenseman, Brandon Saad. Then you've got Foxa with 32. So Joseph Torpo had 24 and 25. Foxa's got 32, and then there's a bit of a jump. Sonny's got 41, Walker's got 43, and then there's a jump, and now we're getting into higher numbers. And then last thing I'll look at is takeaways. So this is how good you are at essentially switching possession of the puck. Team leader in all skaters, forwards and defensemen, is Dylan Holloway with 34. Then going down the forwards, you've got Thomas next. Here's, by the way, not a forward, but Broberg is back on top of this list. So among forwards for takeaways, you've got Holloway with 34. Then there's a huge jump, and it's Thomas with 22, Kyrou with 21, Sonny with 19. That's that winning puck battles down low behind the net. Bolduc with 17, Joseph with 16, Booch with 15, and then it's sort of just this clump of everybody else of like Neighbors, Foxa, Shen, Torpo. So, anyways, so those are just some of the numbers we're looking at here to determine. Um, yeah, and then I mean Walker, as Matt said, did lead in hits. I don't know that I would put hits into Selkie votes personally. I don't think being physical is the only way you can play defense as a forward, although it helps. So I think that's more just a credit to Nathan Walker for the hits rather than consideration for this award. And then of course, yeah, blocks, like I said. So excuse me. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that? You're muted, by the way.
Apologies. I must admit that I think my mind was made up on this one before we started before we started recording. But before I reveal who I think it should be, and this will sort of tell you who one person who I don't think it should be. But just looking at some of the numbers, Zach Bolduc, like he could like get some Selkie love if he keeps this up and
Yes.
like repeats
Yes.
the season he had defensively, but also improves on that. Like
Yes.
he could actually like get some NHL level Selkie love. And so just looking at some of these numbers, so among Blues forwards, um, with at least 600 minutes of ice time, and that's just so you can get Matthew Joseph in there. Uh, Looking at those forwards at 5-on-5, and I'm looking at on ice rate stats instead of counting stats, just because really the whole bottom six, each player played about like 200 minutes less than the top six guys, and so they just didn't have the opportunity to, you know, play as much. So looking at rate stats, so per 60 minutes, Zach Bolduc is first among forwards at 5-on-5 on the team in Corsi against per 60, shots against per 60, goals against per 60. He's second in expected goals against per 60 by 0.01. Third in scoring chances against per 60, second in high danger chances against per 60, and then fifth in high danger goals against per 60. Like he just is at the top in all of those rate stats. So like Zach Bolduc wins his minutes. Really is what we're looking at. Like
He's
defensively,
awesome.
he is just great for the Blues defensively when he's on the ice. So while I already have my mind made up on this one as not Zach Bolduc, I think he's like definitely a great runner up or honorable mention or whatever you want to say. And I think he could definitely like be a candidate this time next year when we're doing this episode. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's him, but also I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years we see him on people's Selkie ballots. So shout out to Zach Bolduc.
Mm-hmm. I want you to go first.
Yeah, sure. I think it has to be Dylan Holloway. I think.
Ooh.
I think. I mean, just some of the numbers you read off there, like he was fantastic in so many of the counting stats and those rate stats. He was just so reliable defensively. I think he was even better defensively than he was offensively. It's close, and one of the things I love about him is that he's got that two-way game. Um, but I loved what we saw from him this year, um, in his own zone, but also just like recovering pucks and things like that. I mean, he led the team in takeaways, as you said. He was he was fifth on the team in hits and 11th on the team in blocks. But among forwards, did you already say this? He was sixth among forwards in blocks. So I think he, when you look at like the counting stats, the defensive counting stats themselves, but when you like also take into account those rate stats and on ice stats, how the team performs around him when he's on the ice, I just think he stands out in a way that none of the other teams do. But you were a little bit surprised when I said that. So yeah, what do you think?
So yeah, I am gonna go. I am gonna give mine sort of 4-3-2-1.
Okay.
I think at 5-4-3-2-1 just because that makes sense. My fifth place honorable mention is Nathan Walker for the blocks, for the defensive play, was just awesome. This is so much fun that the Selkie talk is spurring this much
Yeah.
debate. I mean, just think
Yeah, I
about
love it.
where we came from. Like,
Yeah.
this is so awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Walker has pretty much every counting stat that you could accrue this season, other than goals, assists, and points. But like shots on goal, blocks, hits, takeaways, giveaways, like he's leading and he's up there in all of them. And then obviously franchise leader in hits, although as we said that isn't for the Selkie. But he's awesome, a defensive like rat or what do they have in Australia? Capybaras.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are known for being really agile. Yeah. Um, Number 4 for me is actually, I think Dylan Holloway is probably my fourth. I think, as you said, his rate
Wow.
stats are super impressive. But I think maybe it's the time missed too. Um, Honestly, it's just because I want to shout out the number 3 guy, and I think you put together why Dylan Holloway is really, really good. But I just and it's probably wrong to do this for the record, but I really do want to give a shout out to Alexei Toropchenko. I think he had such
Sure.
a phenomenal defensive year that I didn't really realize until like pretty much once the playoffs started and when I was really diving into the numbers. I mean, just like the way that he is on top of all of these leaderboards and playing more minutes too than a lot of these other forwards. Like he would get minutes with other, with Sundqvist and such for his size and his, potential to score, but just like for his defense. I really want to shout out Torpo as just an like kind of elite bottom line defenseman or defensive guy, which I just did not have in my book until this year, I think. So shout out to him. Bolduc's my number 2, like you said. Honestly, like maybe should win the award, to be honest. Just the rate stats and everything is so incredible, but to me it's just like the raw production counting stats that he doesn't have, and really it sort of tailed off as the year went on too. But was up there in a lot of ways. But for me, my Selkie winner is going to go, maybe this is lame, but it's going to go to a center, and so I'm giving it to Radek Faksa. I think not just for his defensive prowess, but his face-off winning percentage too, to control pace of play, on top of his like takeaways and his extremely low amount of giveaways. To me, Selke is essentially limiting chances for the other team, and Faxa embodies that as one of the leaders in hits on the team. He was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in hits on the team. He was one of the lowest on the team in giveaways. I can't find him on the thing here. But he was sort of in the middle for takeaways, admittedly. But he was in blocks. These are just counting stats. He was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th highest forward again. So top 7 in pretty much all these metrics. On top of that, if you look at high danger shot attempts against, Foxa was 6th. So pretty much Fox is ending up at the top half of every single one of these lists and not really tailing off in any of them. Even like a Dylan Holloway, and that same high danger shot attempts against, he's 17th. So I feel like for most of these players, Nathan Walker, Alexei Toropchenko, that I've named, you find them all at different parts on different parts of the leaderboard. Radek Faksa is consistently at the top for pretty much every single one of these, and or is like near the top, not like leading, but is consistently among the best in every defensive metric. And I think his position as a center also like giving. I think there's a sort of a bonus for being a center here, which is why I go Faxa. But yeah, I mean, I really think that you could have 5 or 6 candidates that I would be happy to see win it. Holloway is definitely one of them. And just, I don't know, a fun discussion.
It really is. Okay, this is my last attempt to sway you to my side. in the same way that Zach Bolduc led in all those rate stats among forwards, um, if you look at the top six alone, Dylan Holloway takes over like all of them. Number one in Corsi against, Fenwick against, shots against per 60. Um, number two in goals against per 60. Number one in expected goals against per 60. First in scoring chances against, high danger scoring chances against per 60. Second in high danger goals against. I mean, like, he ranks up there for all those. And he did miss
Money
time,
Puck
but
loves Dylan Holloway.
and I do too. I do too. The only forwards as well that played more games than Dylan Holloway were Toropchenko, Kyrou, Shen, and Neighbors. I mean, like, he did miss time for sure. I just think he more than made up for that in both rate stats and counting stats. I respect your pick. Radek Faxa is a great one, and like the consistency alone, and as you said, being a center really does help with that. The face-offs for sure, like led the team in face-off percentage. So I mean, there's that aspect to it. So I'm not gonna say that's a bad pick or anything, not at all. But like in my mind, going into this conversation, it was always going to be Holloway, and so maybe I should have been more open-minded coming into it. But
No, I
yeah,
respect that. I think he's a great pick. I guess some reasons against that I'm picking Faxa over Holloway because I'm sure the comments are going to side with you too, and that's respectable. Holloway was near the top of the leaderboard in giveaways. He was among forwards the fifth highest forward in giveaways. Also one of the top in like just raw Corsi chances allowed. Now you could say a lot of that is attributed to minutes, but Faxa and Holloway's minutes aren't that dissimilar. An average time on ice for Holloway of 16:49 and for Radek Faxa 13:01. So I'm wrong about that, actually. That is very dissimilar. But if we're looking at total time on ice, it is more similar, but even then, yeah. So ignore that. But Holloway had more giveaways. He did have the most takeaways on the team, like I said, but similar amount of blocks. I think shot chances against and high danger shot chances against is also excuse me, where I sort of give the edge to Faxa. Again, doing all of that as a center is more impressive to me. Let's see. So
yeah,
expected goals against, both Faxa and Holloway are there. High danger shot attempts against. Faxa is that's one where Faxa's 6th and Holloway's 17th. And then the other one I was looking at, shot attempts against per 60. Holloway and Faxa are both right there too. Holloway's 3rd, Faxa is 15th, but there's a difference of like 9, I think. So not that much. High danger, yeah. Holloway, yeah. So I mean, they're very similar, but
yeah, 2 good picks for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess this is our first one where we're picking different guys, but I think that's okay. Yeah, but like you said, so exciting that the debate is not as clear for this one, that the Blues have come this far in such a short time.
And like all of these players, with the exception of Faxa, are on the roster for next season.
Yeah, and he could be back as well. So
I will say, if anything, you almost convinced me that Bolduc should win the award. But
yeah, I was gonna say we could just split the votes. Like if we were to do like a ballot, it would probably end up being Bolduc, low key.
True.
Okay, let's do Conn Smythe next. So one of the fun parts of this season, and probably the best part of this season, was the playoffs. They took the Jets to double OT in Game 7. So, yeah, the Conn Smythe Award is given to like the playoff MVP essentially. So, who from the Blues do you think would win this award? I think it could be. Really, I honestly think it's only between 2 guys.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I was thinking skaters, but there is another guy in net who is pretty good.
Yeah, so it's Bennington and I think Fowler. Fowler had like a historic playoff run in only one round. He had what was it, 10 points in round one. Had a what was the what did he put? Was it a 5 point night in game three?
Yeah.
Just in an insane level from Fowler. He just like unlocked something else entirely, and so I think it's between these two. It's Fowler and Jordan Bennington, who Benner proved himself again in the playoffs. Playoff Benner. I mean, it's
Hmm.
real, and he is he's got that confidence to show up in the playoffs, and not all goalies do, as we saw up close and personal in round one. But I think this is another. I mean, I don't know that my mind is made up on this one. But what do you think?
I have a case to make.
Sure.
I have a case to make, and I think it's I don't want to be disrespectful to these players, um,
To
but
Connor
the
Hellebuck.
way that no to any Blues players,
Oh, oh okay.
the way that I look at this, I think that if Joel Hofer had started every game, the Blues still make it to Game 7. They don't make it to overtime, but they do make it to Game 7. I
Hmm.
think without Cam Fowler, they do not. I think that we lose a game on home and probably fall in six. I mean, that's hard because we did score multiple touchdowns on Connor Hellebuck. I just love that term. But
Mm-hmm.
Fowler was such a big part of a lot of those plays. I think they could be a lot closer. And if the momentum swing isn't so big, the Jets are a team that can fire back late, as we so heartbreakingly learned. To me, it's Fowler. I
Okay.
think, as you said, like he set historic records for Blues defensemen in the playoffs. And Benner just had a great playoff run. Again, I don't want to be disrespectful to Benner because he had a great playoff run, and the Blues do not make it as many minutes as they do in this series without Jordan Binnington, for sure. But to me, it's Fowler's offensive and honestly defensive impact. Um, every shift on the ice he was affecting versus some of those games, if Fowler's there scoring 6 goals on Connor Hellebuck, Joel Hofer would still earn a win. So I don't want to be disrespectful to Jordan Binnington, but for me, the Conn Smythe is Fowler.
Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah. Um, I don't know that they could have gone to game seven with Hofer. Um, I think there's probably like at least one game that would have gone the other way or something. But I agree with you
Potentially.
that it. I agree with you that what they were doing to Connor Hellebuck sort of just made the Blues goaltending a little bit less important in some ways. So yeah, I like Fowler, and when I think when a player does something historic like Fowler did, that deserves recognition. Like we saw it last year in with the actual Conn Smythe. Yet the Oilers lost, but Connor McDavid like set a record for what was it, points in a playoff run, and still won that award. I think we really could see Connor Hellebuck win the Hart because of the historic things he did this year. And I think it takes like a historic season for a goalie to win the Hart. So I think when there is something historic like that, like what Fowler just did, it merits an award of this caliber. And so yeah, I think Fowler probably is the right choice. Um,
Yep.
yeah, I agree. Awesome. Okay, the big one. So this will be
Yeah.
our last like
NHL.
NHL inspired award before we go on to some other like fun ones like most improved, biggest surprise, and then a couple ones that we've made up for ourselves. Okay, but the Hart Trophy, the MVP. Um, the Hart Trophy is awarded to the most valuable player in the NHL every year. So from the Blues, I think there's a case to be made in my mind for three different players, and we just talked about two of them. I can see it for Bennington. I think I can see it for Bennington, but I think he might come in third of these three, honestly. I can see it for Fowler, like what he did to stabilize the blue line and then come over and sort of rediscover his offensive potential and really, like, in a lot of ways, lead the Blues defensemen. I mean, Colton Parayko did a fantastic job as well, but like when he went down, Fowler stepped up for sure. And so I think Fowler, you know, could be considered for this. And then obviously,
I mean, I want to, before we get to the
sure,
last one, I want to also mention, as I said, I think Kairu has a case for it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and I think, you know, when this guy went down, Kairu really was like the stabilizing force of the team. As we mentioned a million times, led the team in the statistics that he led in. Um, and like just the stability that Kairu brought to this team and the consistency that he brought all year, I think cannot be undervalued. And he has a case, but is not going to be our winner.
yeah.
It's the
That's a
guy
great
who
one.
we've barely talked about because we know he was going to be here. So I'll let you take it.
Nah, you got it.
Well, it's just that, I mean, we mentioned him a little bit in the Selkie, but there was never a doubt. I mean, led the team in points despite playing in like 15 less games or something, 20 less games.
Hmm.
I mean, he's the team MVP. He like has the upside of a league MVP. Maybe that would take a lot, that would take 100th percentile or 99th percentile season for sure.
Hmm.
But in only 70 games, 80 points plus 20, um, led the offense ran through Robert Thomas. when when Thomas was out, they were scrounging, skating, scraping by wins. But when Thomas is in and locked in, this Blues team looked unstoppable. They looked like a force to be reckoned with, and that was because of RT18 and the way that just the creativity and the edge that he brings every night is so much fun to watch. And when he has a down night, someone else can pick up the slack. But when Thomas is on, there's nothing you can do to stop him. He's going to have a multi-point night, and truly, there is nothing that can stop Robert Thomas. So he always was the team MVP. It's just a question of, did he play enough games? I think he did, and flew past Kairu in points. His point pace was, approaching 90 points in the best season of his career, and is only getting better. Just finished his age 25 season, and is, like I said, still getting better. That $8 million contract is so unfair for Robert Thomas, but he's the best player on this team. Again, last thing I'll say is it's just how much the offense unlocks when he is being the captain on the ice. And I don't mean literally. I mean the metaphorical captain running the ship, like
Hmm.
steering the ship, driving the offensive force is night and day difference from any other product of Blues hockey I've seen since, maybe ever. I think he'll be, I've said it before, but he could be maybe the greatest Blue of all time. And so it's Robert Thomas.
Yeah, I kind of came into the episode thinking maybe like it could be a debate. I could see it for Fowler, truly. But the more I think about it, it really isn't a debate. Yeah, far and away the best player for the Blues. Um, and really the big thing for me with Robert Thomas is that he he was playing at his highest level this year when it mattered most.
Exactly.
The big story of the Blues season was the 12-game win streak to get into a playoff position and um, finish out with a playoff clinching final game of the year. Um, and I mean, the Blues were one of the best teams in the NHL after Four Nations through to the end of the season. Do you have a guess, unless you've already looked at it or unless we've already talked about it, Robert Thomas's point pace from Four Nations to the end of the season, so February 22nd through April 15th? Do you
Ooh.
have a guess on his 82 game point pace over that stretch?
That is a great question. So specifically since Four Nations.
Yes, since Four
I
Nations.
I
Yeah,
don't know off the top of my head. I'm gonna guess 106.
more, dude. It's crazy. So
110?
more. It's
Oh my
insane.
god.
So okay, in 26 games played, Robert Thomas had 8 goals, 32 assists for 40 points. You apply that to 82 games, that's a 126 point pace.
Oh
Like
my
he was
god.
doing insane things on the ice, and he is just
Cooch won the Art Ross with 129 this year, I think.
maybe, yeah. I mean, like if Robert Thomas plays at that level for a full season, as you said, like if he is playing at his like upper percentile skill level capability, he could get some hard consideration someday. It would take it would kind of take like the perfect season probably, but he is just such a star, dude. He is a star. Um,
I am
it's insane.
shocked. The points leader this year, there were 6 players who hit the century mark.
Hmm.
Starting from the bottom, you've got Connor McJesus with 100 flat. Mitchell Marner of the you fill in the blank with 102. David Pasternak had 106, tied with my pick for the Hart, Leon Dreisaitl, with 106. Thomas has shot past all of these guys on that pace, by the way. Like
Hmm.
crushed the Hart winner.
Hmm.
Nathan McKinnon was second with 116 points.
Hmm.
You said Thomas was 126,
That was his pace. Yeah.
paced for 126, 10 more points than Nathan McKinnon, who's like maybe a Hart favorite. Nikita Kucherov, who won the Art Ross, had 121 points this year. That's 5 points more than the best, than the highest point total this season.
Hmm.
That's freaking nuts.
Yeah. And it was only
Wow,
26
I'm
games, and
shocked.
so he would have to, again, as you said, play at like his highest possible level to get there. But insane run from Thomas, again, when it mattered most. The reason they won 12 games in a row is because of Robert Thomas, is because of the offense that he was facilitating through that stretch. I mean, incredible year from Robert Thomas. You know, the obvious MVP last year. I think maybe Jordan Bennington had a bigger case last year, but I think still it was Robert Thomas. And this year, far and away, it's Robert Thomas. Oh, man, we are so
Crazy.
lucky. We are so lucky
Crazy.
to have Bobby T.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
just a fantastic hockey player and really just a star. I mean, he is awesome. Okay, let's run through some other ones here. A little bit maybe we can have some discussion for some of these, but I think probably a little bit more quick hits for these ones. Um, this first one might be a little bit more of a discussion, but most improved. Who do you think?
Yeah, this is a great I don't know idea question because there's so many ways you can take this. I mean, and
Yeah,
I think at this point now that we're past like the NHL awards, we can do repeats. I would say.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I think just for time, I'll just give my answer. To me, it's Jordan Kyrou for the defense.
Hmm.
I mean, had a great offensive season, but his defense really coming along like he did, on top of him being able to consistently put his skating ability, his puck handling ability, all with his like offensive toolkit, putting it all together for not just a full season, but like all 82 games. To me, it's Jordan Kyrou's most improved.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think the offer sheets boys also have a great case for this. Dylan
Yeah, but didn't
Holloway.
play for us last year.
Okay, so it has to be someone who played for the Blues. You think?
No, no, just I don't know. I'll stop interrupting.
No, you're good. I think they played enough last year that it's like worth mentioning. Dylan Holloway only had 9 points in 38 games last year, and just exploded. 63 points in 77 games. Philip Broberg um, really didn't play at all last year. So maybe these guys, just because of sample size and sort of lack of playing time, um, deserve more of a mention than like actual serious consideration. Who else? I mean, Bolduc has a case, but it was hard not to improve off of his first season, probably.
But I mean, the amount that he improved is
Yeah,
note
it's notable.
is like is part of the award
Mm-hmm.
decision.
Sure. Yeah. I think the thing with Kairu though, I don't hate the pick, but the improvement really only came on his offense. Sort of put up
On his
goal
defense?
or yeah, sorry, excuse me, his
Okay.
defense. He put up goal and point totals that are pretty consistent with how he's performed for the last 4 seasons or so. So there's not like um, hasn't been a ton of improvement there. Um, for that reason, like I don't know, like I think maybe my pick is Bolduc for that. But I don't hate Cairo at all. Like I think what we saw, how we saw him develop, his all around game was just fantastic. So
You and Matt been in lockstep this whole episode.
it's that's why he's Matt in the chat. Puck knower.
Nowhere.
Um,
Oh wait, we didn't do the episode 79. Yeah. Way late. Let's see.
Yeah,
We've got oh my god, Sammy Blay was level goodness
you
gracious,
got it.
guys. Was number 79. I remember him as 6 when 2019 or 9, not
He
6.
was 79 last year.
Yeah, when he came back, but
Yeah,
that doesn't count. He's 6
Adam
or he's 9.
Cracknell.
Right. Played, let's see. How many games with the Blues?
4 seasons.
Played 65 games with the Blues, 16 points, 6 goals, plus 5 as a winger, and had 85 hits, 25 blocks.
All right.
Journeyman player. But
Nice.
he played the league for 9 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So, next award you want to do?
Sure. Why don't we do biggest surprise? And I think this has to be the offer sheets boys. And I think we could probably just give it to them as a unit in my mind.
Yeah, agree. I mean, if I were to give a different answer,
crazy.
I'd say WTF for the same reason.
That
But
makes sense.
they could be co-winners. There's like 5 players.
It's a lot. Yeah, none of us expected the season that we got from both Holloway and Broberg, and we've said it a lot, but they are just so awesome. Lock those two up. Okay. Where do you want to go next? You wrote a couple down here.
I'll just fly through some that I think are pretty easy to talk about. So I did like a character clause or a leadership award.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has to be Braden Shen
Yeah,
for obvious reasons. Tied that locker room together. But I just wanted to shout out not only like having a bounce back year on the ice, but off the ice, showing up more than ever before. Bounce back candidate is an interesting one. I just want to like throw out
for the leadership award. I think honorable mention Jobu should get that one probably.
Yeah.
All right, as you were.
Locker room, literally a locker room presence.
Literally.
Next season, who I want to see bounce back, I think I'm going to go with Jake Neighbors. Still have 22 goals, 46 points in 86 games, which is pretty good. But I feel like with Neighbors, you really could see him hit that 25 goal threshold, approach 50, 60 points. And the biggest thing for me is the defense was bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him play a little bit stronger, probably bulk up his upper body. His skating's fine, but being knocked off the puck too much.
Yeah.
Not really an award, I guess, but I don't know.
I think mine for that one would have to be Pavel Buchnevich. I mean, like, if he plays at career norms, then this team becomes a lot better. So I want to see more from him. And on like on some level, it's not like not all his fault, because of the whole trying to play him at center thing. Probably threw him off to start out the year, and not a great way to start the season. But um, if everything goes
Yep.
well for him, I think we could see a lot of improvement from this team.
All right.
Um, a couple fun ones that I thought of, just to like recognize the like phenomenon that is bright light Benner. Um, I've called it just the clutch gene award. We saw it in Four Nations, and we saw it in some key moments and some key games throughout the season, and then we saw it in the playoffs. Like the dude is just clutch, and there's no other way to put it. Like he just consistently shows up in the big moments when the lights are bright. Um, so I think it's got to be him. Clutchest on the
Yep.
team, I think. Yeah.
Yep. No argument.
Um, the He's still good award. It's just I wanted to recognize Colton Parayko because I mean I think Braden Shen could be another one for this one. Just like
Mm-hmm.
just sort of having great seasons at this point in their career when you could like you could reasonably expect a little bit of a drop off, but just like nope, not this guy. Like Colton Parayko had a career year, in a year that could very easily have not been for him. So he's still good. That boy is still good.
Yeah. I think for Pareko, it's he went from being good to actually he's still great. For Shen,
Yeah,
it went
yeah,
from
yeah,
being bad to he's still good.
yeah. I don't hate that at all. Um, and then because I have to honor him somehow, the Silky Smooth Award goes to Philip Broberg because watching that guy skate and watching that guy move the puck from the D zone all the way to the O zone, um, just like watching plays that he made, and the one that comes to mind right now is like Dylan Holloway's first goal as a Blue when he
Mm-hmm.
passed it to Philip Broberg, and Philip Broberg just like worked his way through like four defensemen or four opponents on the other end, and then set up Dylan Holloway to score. It was just like a perfect moment. But just watching him create plays with his offense, watching him defend with his skating, it's just so silky smooth, and I love watching. Um, I love watching him skate.
Agree,
Yeah,
but I want to go with Jimmy Snuggerud for similar
yeah,
reasons.
nice,
He
nice.
is so smooth, and he just like loves to use his body when he skates too, which is like hilarious and awesome. But yeah, Broberg is awesome to watch, and I think Snuggerud can be the Broberg of the defense or the
Yeah,
offense, the
nice.
forwards. Their times of
Do
charm.
you have any other fun ones or any that you thought of?
I think we got them all.
Cool. I got one more. All right.
Last one.
It's the Pavel Buchnevich Award. All right. And this award, I mean, it can only go to one guy, right?
Of course,
Of course.
we're all thinking
It's
it.
we're all thinking the Pavel Buchnevich Award can only go to one guy, right? It's a winger. It's a winger who scores 20 to 25, 30 goals. It's a winger who puts up 55 plus, 60 plus points. It's a guy who plays great defense. The Pavel
It's a
Buchnevich
guy
Award.
who's going to get an $8 million extension.
The Pavel Buchnevich Award goes to Dylan Holloway, baby. Uh, really great year from Dylan Holloway. Um,
Give him the
who
6x8, please,
Yes, 8x8,
please.
8x9. I don't care. Um,
Oh,
um, while Buchnevich's season was a little disappointing, I think Dylan Holloway filled that role really nicely. Um, Defensive winger who put up some pretty serious goal and point totals. So I just thought it was a funny one. Um, any others? I
Yeah.
mean, like most the Connor McDavid Award could go to Alexei Torpchenko if we wanted to honor him.
Hmm.
Um,
The Honey Badger Award
yeah. Are there any
goes
guys like
to
on this roster
Nathan
who
Walker.
deserve recognition in any way that we didn't get to? I feel like we got most of them.
I mean, yeah, Walker for the
Yeah.
Mike Tyson Award or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Sure. Nice. Tyler Tucker, Ryan Suter, like those guys were really important, and not enough to like really be mentioned for any of these, but great seasons from both of them.
I want to
Um,
give one of those paper certificates of like you were on the team and did well to like pretty much all the bottom six, like Sonny,
mhm.
Joseph, WTF, Faxa, like all those guys to just be like, you did a good job.
You get a gold star. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, super fun season. And hopefully there will be a couple other key players in the conversation next year, whether it's a Snuggerud taking a step, or someone else getting the call up, or hopefully someone that the Blues sign or trade for, that they acquire a key piece to add to the Blues core moving forward. Um, because I think with the expectation being playoffs now, they got to add, and hopefully they add some key pieces.
Yeah.
So
And I think on that point, this will probably be our last episode looking back at the last season, if I'm not mistaken.
probably at the NHL level at least. Yeah, we'll definitely have some like prospect episodes coming up where we might reflect on the season that some Blues prospects had, and then we'll also provide some draft content because the NHL draft is coming up in about a month, just a little bit over a month. So that'll be something we will start to talk about soon. And then July 1st, free agency. That's when it opens up, and so hopefully there will be some signings in St. Louis. So if any rumors come about, or any if there's any news that comes about, extensions, trades, free agency, whatever the case may be throughout the off season, we're going to be here to continue to cover that. We go live twice a week, so be sure to tune in with us each time. You can join the conversation. We love it when we have an active chat. We'd love to see you there. And then if there's any like super big news, sometimes we'll do an emergency pod as well. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And the best way to tune in every time and make sure you catch every episode is to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like this video; those are great ways to support us. If you're listening on audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, follow, rate, review. It really does help us out. Um, and then we're on social media: Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Note News Pod. You can follow us. We announce when we're going live, and post a lot of great short form content, memes, graphics, all kinds of great stuff. So follow us on all those platforms, and we hope to see you out there, and we hope to see you back here. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Note News. We'll see you next time, and let's go Blues.
Let's go, Blues.